Hello and welcome to Select 10. When selecting the best science fiction movie, it might be difficult to avoid overlooking or being drawn into the vast ocean of mainstream movies about artificial intelligence, aliens, and time travel that do usher viewers into a new era of technologically advanced sci-fi stories with a unique approach, but there are many films that were left out or missed. So today we're going to focus on some of those science fiction movies that might not have become box office hits, but they certainly deserve recognition and attention from science fiction audiences. Now let's start the video. Number 10. The Osiris Child. It is a sci-fi action film directed by Shane Abbas. The story is set in the future during a period of interplanetary settlement and follows Cy Lombrock, a formerly employed medical professional who finds himself on the team of Kane Somerville, a captain who serves at EXER, an off-Earth armed forces contract organization active in the world's extraterrestrial future, as they race towards an approaching worldwide disaster while trying to locate Kane's young kid, Indy. Although this sci-fi film is far from perfect, it is nonetheless well worth watching. The two main positives are its magnificent visuals and the CGI, which occasionally has a Mad Max-like feel. The disadvantage is that the plot is poorly executed, which goes against its excellent concept. Number 9. Possessor. It is a sci-fi psychological horror film directed by Brandon Cronenberg. The story centers on Tassio Vos, a top professional assassin who uses brain implant technology to gain authority over the bodies of others and kill notorious targets. Vos uses a machine to inject her awareness into the minds of her unwilling participants, and then she returns back to her physical form at the conclusion of every assignment. However, because of the quantity of her time she dedicates to replicating her victims, Vos faces challenges to overcome her growing separation from her own persona, and insanity develops when her psychological stress grows stronger as she starts losing authority and find herself stuck in the brain of her new victim, whose true nature appears to be destroying what she is. Overall, the story is a bizarre, shocking, and gory fantasy that goes beyond our imagination. The film is insane, unsettling, and demanding viewing experience that expects nothing less from its viewers. Possessor is a stunning and oftentimes horrific exploration of the psychology of people that will appeal to admirers of horror and cerebral sci-fi. Number 8. I'm Your Man. It is a sci-fi romance film directed by Maria Schrader. The plot centers on Dr. Alma Felser, a historian who is convinced to take part in a remarkable experiment with the aim of raising money for her ongoing study. For a period of 3 weeks, she must live with Tom, an artificially intelligent robot meant to serve as her perfect companion, suited to her personality and desires. The rest of the film explores that time period and their interactions with each other, giving us a unique take on human and AI imperfections. First of all, this is not the type of sci-fi that we typically see or expect, and that is what makes it special. The narrative is masterfully constructed, with an enigmatic storyline that is genuinely heartfelt and touchingly sentimental. Yes, it is not perfect, and its basic idea is AI and humans, but it is different, it is promising, it is interesting, and it makes you think, so I guess it merits a spot on your watch list. Number 7. Riddick. It is a sci-fi action film directed by David Twohy. It is a follow-up to the films Pitch Black and The Chronicles of Riddick, and the third movie in the Chronicles of Riddick franchise. All three films are strong, but Pitch Black was particularly outstanding and underrated, and the franchise has genuine potential if its makers take the story forward. The story follows the infamous murderer, Riddick, who is abandoned on a desert planet and forced to rely on his senses to stay alive. Along the way, he joins forces with militants sent to catch him and attempts to flee from an even bigger danger, the vicious monsters that live on the planet they are on. Overall, considering how long ago the movie was made, the CGI is decent and the action is amazing, but the movie earned negative feedback from reviewers who liked Diesel's acting and the film's overall aesthetic, but not much of its typical story and the lack of plot development, which is kind of true. But even with these flaws, it manages to impress a section of the audience, and I enjoyed it as well, but keep your expectations low. Number 6. Time Trap. It is a sci-fi action-adventure film directed by Ben Foster and Mark Dennis. The plot centers on a team of college students who go out to find their disappeared archaeology teacher, Hopper, in the countryside of Texas. However, their journey quickly turns into an unimaginable nightmare when they accidentally come across an unknown cave and choose to investigate it without knowing anything about it. But as they go down the cave, strange and catastrophic time and space-related phenomena begin to occur. To prevent spoilers, let's just leave it at that. The anticipation of whether they will find their professor and what he is looking for keeps you interested. We've all seen a lot of visually stunning sci-fi films, but occasionally a low-budget movie will simply play with our minds in a way that many expensive movies fail to do. Time Trap is one such low-budget sci-fi movie that succeeds in being interesting and engaging by putting less emphasis on futuristic special effects and more on narrative, timing, and tension-raising moments. Number 5. Ender's Game. It is a military sci-fi action film based on Orson Scott Card's 1985 book of the same name. The story takes place in the future, where humans are getting ready for an invasion of the alien world civilization, known as the Formics, that once invaded Earth and murdered thousands of people. Earlier, when aggressive aliens invaded Earth, Mazer Rackham's courage and strategy secured their victory and momentarily preserved the Earth from destruction. But in the wake of the attack, they start to get ready for the next one, as Colonel Hiram Graff and his allies launch a military operation to locate the next Mazer and bring in Ender Wiggin, who shows a striking talent for learning, to the most advanced military training in space to get geared up for an impending alien invasion and safeguard Earth. The performances by Butterfield, Haley Steinfeld, Harrison Ford, and others are all excellent, and the outer space war segments are just incredible, occasionally resembling Star Trek action. The film makes an effort to deal with many complex subjects, and while it mostly succeeds in some, it falls short in others. However, the film gets many things right and turns the book plot into an enjoyable and creative flick, but only if you don't compare it to the book. Number 4. The Island. It is a dystopian sci-fi action thriller film directed by Michael Bay. The film unfolds in a modern unsuitable settlement and follows the journey of Lincoln 6 Echo, who has trouble fitting into this complex reality in which he lives disconnected in a structure and starts questioning his restricted life when a colleague is selected to be transported to the island, the last clean establishment on Earth. The main plot starts when Lincoln discovers that the people living in the facility are clones that are employed as substitutes for rich people in outside societies. To find out more, he makes a plan to flee with a woman, Jordan 2 Delta, in order to bring down the unlawful cloning organization. The island merits more recognition and praise for attempting something a little innovative at the time of its release. The story explores well-known themes related to human cloning, such as how it never works out properly. The film does a fantastic job of blending science fiction weirdness and high-octane action, yet it is not flawless. But the good outweighs the bad. Aside from the few action scenes that looked overdone, it was a fun movie with an appealing story, well supported by Michael Bay's vibrant direction. Number 3. Dark City. It is a 1998 neo-noir sci-fi film directed by Alex Proyas. This movie is an underappreciated masterpiece that should get more attention from science fiction fans. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, just because a movie is old and has decent CGI doesn't mean it should be ignored. You should specifically watch out for science fiction rather than looking for outstanding visual effects in every sci-fi movie. The film revolves around an amnesiac guy, John Murdoch, who learns that he has been wanted for a string of terrible killings. However, the issue is that he is unable to recall whether or not he was responsible for the attacks. In order to clear his name while evading the authorities and to come to terms with what is happening, Murdoch is forced to solve the complex mystery of who he is. But as he gets closer to unraveling the puzzle, he discovers a demonic region ruled by a collection of sinister beings referred to as the Strangers, who have the power to influence individuals and change the city and its residents. What strangers have to do with John, or vice versa, will become clearer later in the movie. The three main elements that will hold your interest throughout are Murdoch's relentless hunt, what is real about the city, and the motivations of the enigmatic strangers. Number 2. The Fountain. It is an epic sci-fi romance fantasy film directed by Darren Aronofsky. The film tells the story of an individual named Tomas Verdi, Tom Creo, and Tommy the Space Traveler who go through time looking for a way to eternal life in order to protect a lady they love. So there are three parallel stories concerning two of the same people in different eras. In the 16th century, he hunts for the famous Fountain of Youth, and in the present, as a researcher, he very badly tries to treat the disease that is claiming the life of his wife. Finally, as a 26th century cosmic astronaut, he is traveling into a faraway galaxy in a spaceship with a tree rooted on his wife's burial site and heading into a fading supernova in the hope that its detonation may revive her. The plots are interconnected and symbolize the concepts and dynamics of love and eternal life. The story brilliantly blends aspects of fantasy, history, faith, and science fiction together, and yes, you might be confused and wondering how it's connected. The plot may seem confusing on paper, but as you begin to watch it, you will grasp it more clearly. Number 1. Cloud Atlas. It is an epic sci-fi thriller film, directed by the Wachowskis. The plot shifts between times, lasting thousands of years, until every story is concluded. Characters show up in each era, but their ties with one another alter. For example, a ruler becomes a slave and vice versa. The plot revolves around 3 characters, Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, and Jim Broadbent, who play multiple roles across 5 centuries. Hanks, for example, portrays a dishonest physician on a cruise ship, a curious employee at a rundown European hotel, and many more characters, while Berry plays the same number of characters, and so on. Their links to one another are renewed across time, as their spirits are born and reincarnated. So, does the fact that Cloud Atlas has numerous narratives make it too confusing? The answer is no, and the audience is given enough time, elements, and indications to realize how everything is connected. The story becomes unstable at times, and its fundamental flaw is that it attempts to make sense so much that each part never feels fully fleshed out. However, it is an immense sci-fi extravaganza that spans time and space, complemented by additional subjects concerning freedom, tyranny, uprising, bravery, survival, and belief. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.